What is up, everybody? I am back again. I am so far successful at making this a regular thing again. This is my third video in, 3 or 4 days? Okay, we're going to do another CD collection video. We're going to finish out the M's. And I'm also going to talk about Not of This World, my t-shirt website. So, first, we are listening to Have a Hedge. Does anybody watch the Chris Garza podcast? It's on YouTube. Chris Garza is the guitar player for Suicide Silence, the deathcore band. Don't like them. Don't care. I like Chris's interviews, though. And he just interviewed Paul Ledney, which I thought was hilarious. Total, completely a juxtaposition of completely different people, you know. A lot of when Chris interviews people, especially in death and black metal, and especially in cult bands like this, shit goes over his head. And it's funny watching that and watching him his gears turn when he's talking to someone like Paul Ledney. But for whatever reason, instead of throwing on Profanatica, I picked up Have a Hedge. If you are a Profanatica fan or know the history or anything, of course, this was Profanatica, formed in the early 90s or late 80s. They were one of the proto-American black metal bands. And Paul, if you watch that interview, Paul goes in depth talking about how they play this caveman style of black metal with death metal aggression. And it really makes sense. I'm a huge Profanatica fan. But of course, Profanatica broke up in the early 90s. Their first record was recorded and then erased. And then he went on to form Have a Hedge. And this record, Dethrone the Son of God, is essentially the debut Profanatica record. And then, of course, they got back together and they've been together ever since. I know Paul. Me and Paul have been friends for years. My band has played shows with Profanatica several times. So I like Paul, and I love Profanatica, and I love Have a Hedge. So, killer record. Okay, first, I mentioned in last video that I have started a website, a company that sells horror movie merchandise, and it's called Not of This World. I'm a lifelong horror fan, horror fanatic. I love horror movies. My big things are I like VHS tapes. I like horror VHS tapes. I buy DVDs and Blu-rays and the 4Ks and all that shit. But I really, really love VHS tapes. That's if I'm going to go out of my way to buy something these days, it's going to be a horror VHS tape. Been collecting them for 30 years. And, I love one sheet horror posters, like the big original posters. They're called one sheets in America. And a one sheet was a particular size. And I have a few dozen of them, but I just don't have a place to hang them up. This room in my house, as you can see, has the angled walls, and then every other wall has something on it. So I don't have my one sheets hung up. I have a couple of them hung up, but not many. But I'm a big horror movie fan. And I built this company. I built this website a few months ago. It's called Not of This World. This is our logo. Not of This World. And the URL is notofThisWorld.store. Go check us out. It's mostly t-shirts and hats, a couple other little things. Everything is either horror, cult, gore, exploitation. There's some serial killer stuff. And I add new shit constantly. Everything is printed and fulfilled and merchandised by a third party. So I just send the orders to a third party. They print everything and mail it for me. It's seamless, have had zero issues, and the prints are really fucking killer. So one of the reasons it took me a long time to do this was printing shirts and having to order minimum amounts of shirts. And when I've done band shirts, you have to order a minimum, and then you know, if you sell them, you sell them. But I finally, the technology outside of screen printing has gotten to be so fantastic. And there are companies now like the one that I've partnered with that do everything for you. So I just send them the order. They print one-off pieces of merchandise for me. This is another Like I said, this is one of our ads, Not of This World. This is a flyer that if you order something from NWN, you might get one of these in your mail, in your package. That's an example of some of the stuff we do. You know, Video Dead, Chopping Mall, Make Them Die Slowly, Madman, Full Cheese Zombie, all kinds of stuff. So this is a flyer that's been going out in the mail. And then shirts. So I've got some samples. Since I don't physically make or handle the merchandise, I have ordered samples. I've ordered stuff for myself that I wear. And the main thing I wanted to do was see how the prints look, because this is direct to garment technology. It's basically you're printing directly onto the shirt with a type of garment printer. So here's an example. This is a Don't Go in the House shirt. Don't Go in the House, one of my absolute favorite horror movies. One of the first horror movies I probably ever saw. Came out in 1980. It's about a guy that traps women in his house, and he built a stainless steel room, and he incinerates them because girls were mean to him. And but this is a full color print, and I don't know how you can see in a video, but it's very soft. There's no crinkling. It's not sticky. It's smooth. You can feel the ink the way you can on a screen print. And I mean, you would otherwise think this is just a screen printed shirt. But it is absolutely fantastic. I print everything on Gildan soft style. I wanted to do comfort colors. Everybody loves comfort colors. I prefer comfort colors, but they're just so expensive. I try to keep my prices low. All of my shirts are $19.99 for now. I can't say that I'm going to keep them that way, but so far they're $19.99. I make very little money on every shirt, and I know people say this, but all of the money I've made doing Not of This World, I've put back into it. Put back into it with advertising. So I do a lot of advertising on Facebook and Instagram. So you'll probably see my ads pop up from time to time. But I'm really trying to get the name out there. I want to be somewhere that people go to get horror movie t-shirts. I try to stay faithful to the era of the movies and the advertising of the movies. I'm not necessarily just slapping the poster on a shirt, but I'm also not doing big, flashy, kind of modern designs the way like Cavity Colors does, or Gutter Garbs, or Fright Rags, and all those companies are great. But they do like custom artwork that's real flashy and colorful, and that's not what I'm doing. I'm doing stuff that's the advertising of the era, the posters of the era, the VHS covers, and I'm reworking them a little to make them work for the shirt and stuff like that. So that's one example. What else? This is a new one. I just got it in. This is for City of the Living Dead. This is the Italian title. And this is from the Italian poster, and it's got the, crying blood, that famous scene in City of the Living Dead or Gates of Hell in America. But this is a fantastic one. Again, I wanted to do comfort colors. They're too expensive. If I did comfort color shirts, I have to make the shirts $25, $28 a piece, and I'm trying to avoid doing that. Maybe one day I will convert everything to comfort colors if people want that. But I really like Gildan soft style. They're soft, they're light, they're true to size. I like them a lot. They're not as heavy as a Gildan 5000 or a Gildan heavy cotton. So Gildan soft style is what I go with, and it keeps the shirts affordable. So what else we got? So here's a cool one. This is Bill Skin's Fifth. This is a rip of the newspaper from Silence of the Lambs, the National Inquisitor. This is the famous news article that stuck to the wall in Jack's office in the beginning of the movie. I absolutely love the movie Silence of the Lambs. This is something that's kind of aside from like an old school horror type thing. This is not really a horror movie, but it's also the best serial killer movie ever made. So I thought this was something cool to put out. And I found a very good photo of this from the movie that I was able to make the graphic from. So that's a cool one. A couple of other examples. This is another brand new one I just put in the store, and I got a copy for myself. Man from Deep River. old Umberto Lenzi cannibal film. This is one of the first cannibal movies. This is predated Make Them Die Slowly and Cannibal Holocaust and Slave of the Cannibal God. But just early cannibal flick, Man from Deep River. I absolutely love this one. And again, the prints are fantastic. I mean, it's just a very smooth, soft print. It's not sticky, it's not stiff. These are absolutely fantastic. So if that's something that you're worried about, if you look at my website and you're like, oh, I'm not sure about direct to garment, it's awesome, believe me. This one, this is a favorite. Friday the 13th Part 6, which is the best Friday the 13th. My favorite. Funny story, it was actually filmed not far from where I live. It was filmed here in Georgia, in rural Atlanta. So I never knew that until not that long ago, actually. But I love this one. This was the first, maybe the first Friday the 13th I ever saw, and it just stuck with me so long, so many years after. But this is just another example of a full color shirt that turned out really, really well. One of the keys to doing these, and a lot of my shirts are printed on black shirts, so one thing that I do, I'm a graphic designer by trade, so when I set these up, anything that's black in the design I knock out. So the black that you're seeing is the black of the t-shirt. That way it eliminates having so much ink printed on the shirt, makes it softer with less ink. So I knock out all of the black in the designs. So that's a fucking killer one there. Last but not least, this Pieces. So Pieces, classic slasher movie. This is a red shirt, of course. So with this one, I've kept the black on the shirt, and there's a little bit of red, so I left the red in the chainsaw. But again, this is an example of a full color shirt. They print fantastic. They're crisp. They're soft. They're not sticky, and they're not going to fade or anything. They're fantastic. So please check us out. NotofThisWorld.store. Again, notofThisWorld.store. Order some horror movie t-shirts. You won't be disappointed. Oh, I'm also wearing one. Journey into the Beyond. This was a documentary, like a kind of documentary about death practices around the world. It's kind of shitty. I have an old bootleg DVD of it, but I really like it, and it's narrated by John Carradine, who I'm a sucker for. Okay, now here we are, 12 minutes in. We are into the CD collection, a little 2-part video. We are going to finish out the M's. No coffee tonight. So we left off with Mortician, and we're going straight into Most Precious Blood. Definitely shifting gears. What do they have in common? They're from New York. So me, of course, I'm a death and black metal, extreme metal guy, but I came up at the same time I was getting into Morbid Angel and Cannibal Corpse. I was getting into punk and hardcore. And it's not something that I have always kept up with. My punk and hardcore knowledge definitely stops at a certain point. But this album came out in 04, 05, so 20 years ago. And the only reason I listened to this was the band that predates Most Precious Blood was a band called Indecision. And Indecision was one of these quintessential 90s hardcore, New York hardcore bands, so I absolutely loved. I had seen them when I was in high school. They played in my little town in South Georgia. And then they changed a couple members and reformed as Most Precious Blood. And this, I believe, was their second album. But this ended up being sent to me to review. I used to write for a webzine 20 years ago. And this was sent to me then because it still has the punched out barcode right there. So for any of you that are like, what is he talking about? 20 years ago, MP3s were still a very, very nascent, cumbersome technology. So the idea of sending music out to listen to for a reviewer over the internet was not happening. Record labels would partner with websites and magazines and fanzines and send them physical copies of their releases in advance to review. So this was sent to our website to review in advance, and I think it randomly got assigned to me. And I was like, oh yeah, I want to check that out because I liked Indecision. I can say unequivocally, this is the best hardcore album of the last 25 years. If you like legit hardcore, not metalcore, not deathcore, not metallic hardcore, this is the best hardcore record from 2000 to now. Merciless. It is absolutely incredible. It's full of riffs, full of breakdowns, killer vocals, killer imagery and thematics. I love this fucking album. I have it on vinyl too. I tracked down a copy. It was released once on vinyl and it became very hard to find. And after a lot of searching, I discovered it for sale on a forum, and someone sold me a copy for $10. That was many years ago. I think that might have been before Discogs was a real big thing. I found it on some forum for cheap. But absolutely adore this record. If you like hardcore at all, or if you're a metal person and you like some hardcore, check this out. It's funny, that idea goes both ways. There's a lot of people, especially now, like getting into death metal and extreme metal, that came through hardcore. But I've had people reach out to me, friends of mine, that are like die-hard metalheads, death metal to the bone. That's what they started with as a young teenager. They didn't do metalcore, they didn't do hardcore, they didn't do deathcore. They went from like regular music to death metal. Have asked me, recommend me some hardcore albums. I want to check this stuff out because they know that I like old hardcore too. If you're a fan of the channel, you know that my favorite band of all time is Integrity, which is a hardcore band. I did a whole video about Integrity's discography a few years ago. You can find it in my videos. But this is fantastic. Most Precious Blood, Merciless. Okay, let's see here. How many do I have? Just one. Mötley Crüe, Shout at the Devil. So Mötley Crüe, I love Mötley Crüe, man. I'm not a diehard. I don't have all their shit. Like I own one CD. I don't own any vinyl. But when I was 7 or 8 years old, they were cool. They were sleazy, and it was all over MTV when I was that age. That's all I watched when I was 7 years old was MTV. And the only reason I own this is I think I bought it in a pawn shop for 99 cents or something. But it rules. Shout at the Devil fucking rules. I mean, look at this like satanic glam imagery they had going on this record. And, isn't there a pentagram in here somewhere? That might be a different pressing. One of these pressings had a big pentagram, like on the CD face or something. I don't remember, but look at that, man. Yeah, they're a joke. They're laughable these days. But man, these early albums, Shout at the Devil, even Dr. Feelgood, dude. I want Dr. Feelgood on vinyl, so someone send me that. Send me a copy of Dr. Feelgood on vinyl. Mötley Crüe, you can't go wrong with the old Mötley Crüe shit. It rules. Next, Motörhead, and this CD is ultra rare. One of one. So, I love Motörhead, but I'm really kind of a Fairweather fan. Don't know, well, let me take it back. 20 years ago, I didn't know a lot. I knew the hits, I knew Ace of Spades and a few other songs, but I wasn't really a Motörhead diehard by any means. And my buddy Jason, who actually he's Jason that founded Father Befouled with me. He's the other original member, and he owned the website that I used to write for. That's how we became friends. Jason is a computer programmer, and he built this metal website 25 years ago, and then I started writing for it. One day we were talking, and somehow Motörhead came up, and he's like, well, let me make you a CD. He's like, I'll send you, a CD of some good stuff and get you started. I was like, fuck yeah, let's do it. So this is a double disc, 2 CDs, CDR, that he put together, but then also like made the cover, printed everything, designed everything, printed it. I want to say there's a booklet too. Like booklet is just the track listing. I get it, and it's almost exclusively 90s Motörhead. Now, there's some old stuff on here. Motörhead, Overkill, Bomber, Ace of Spades, No Sleep Till Hammersmith, Iron Fist. I take that back. That's not the track listing. That's the list of albums inside. Yeah, so that's just the list of albums inside. The track listing, there's 2 discs here. But On Your Feet or On Your Knees, Kingdom of the Worm, Eat the Gun, We Are Motörhead, Dancing on Your Grave, Ramones, God Was Never on Your Side, Serial Killer, Living in the Past, Deaf Forever. But I want to say that almost every bit of this is 90s Motörhead. And when I realized that, I was like, why'd you send me all 90s Motörhead? And he's like, oh, well, that's my favorite stuff. So he didn't send me the greatest hits of Motörhead. He sent me the greatest hits of Motörhead, according to Jason. But I'm sure that to a Motörhead fan, this is a good glimpse of their discography. So, but it rules. I love it. So, and I love Motörhead. Now, I have several Motörhead records. I actually, the last time I was on tour, I bought a copy of an original pressing, some Euro pressing with an Obi strip of Iron Fist at some record store in France. So, love Motörhead. Next, Mourner. Mourner was a doom band featuring members of Loss, the funeral doom band from Nashville. And this release, this is a pro release. That's, a pro printed thing. It's real nice on its like brown paper. And then there's a booklet. And then, let's see. Well, it's not pro printed. This isn't. This is a CDR, but the other, this thing is whatever. This is the release. And I have a note. This was given to me by Jake and Mike from Mourner. Justin, here's the Loss LP in trade for the Father Befouled 7-inch and some other stuff from my band Mourner. So he gave me a Loss LP and the Mourner record. That's from Mike Meacham from Loss. So anyway, and then this is some, it says Paradigms on the front, and then the Mourner CD. So anyway, I don't know what this other CDR is. Mourner, oh, this is the Still EP and an unreleased track. Loss was a funeral doom band from Nashville. Mourner was their funeral doom, kind of more sludgy side project. And okay, it's on Paradigms. Paradigms is the record label, so that's why that says Paradigms. Okay. Anyway, I'm rambling here. This is Killer Sludgy Funeral Doom. I also have it on vinyl. It's just I'm looking at the credits here. Okay, very cool. I haven't listened to this in a long time. I need to throw that on. Put on the record, though. Sometime after I got this and hooked up with me and Mike and Jake, who were both Jake Roethlisberger and Mike Meacham, were in Mourner, we formed a band called Ritual. And Ritual with 2 A's in it. And we put out a 7-inch a few years ago. 12 years ago, 10 years ago, of like really nasty kind of doom, sludgy stuff. And we did those 2 songs and put it out as a 7-inch and never touched it again. Okay, what's next? Mutilation. Majestus Leprosus. Mutilation, French black metal. This is the only CD I have by them, but I have a couple of their records. Grimly Reborn and We Are the Imperial Vampire, something, I don't remember. If you're watching this, you know who fucking Mutilation is. French black metal, they're sick. They sound French. I don't know how to describe it, but when I hear Mutilation, I fucking love Mutilation. Grim, vampiric, fucking evil French black metal. So, I have 2 My Dying Bride albums. These are the only 2 My Dying Bride albums I own on CD or anything, but I love them. I bought this on a whim in a record store because I knew it was a death metal band. And of course, My Dying Bride is kind of this kind of grim, morbid, morbose, kind of romantic doom metal band. But Turn Loose the Swans. Is their first album? Their second album? I don't remember. It's their first album. Fantastic album. Just eerie and morbid and, kind of somber sounding. And then The Angel in the Dark River came after this one, I guess. We'll talk about it in the comments. I'm not going to put shit on the screen. I'm not editing this. I used to go through these videos, and then anytime I had a question that I was questioning myself, I'd put the answer on the screen, but I'm not doing all that. This is probably my favorite My Dying Bride album. The opening song, The Cry of Mankind, is one of the greatest doom songs of all time. It has this really eerie melody that opens it up. And if you listen close, it never stops for the entire 12 minutes of the song. It keeps going the whole time. So anyway, I'm trying to be quick here. My Dying Bride is awesome. I have listened to all of their stuff. These are the only ones I've ever bought. And unless the other stuff fell in my lap, I don't really need it. Okay, Mythic. Mythic was a death metal band from the Midwest in the 90s that were famous for being three women, including Dana Duffy. Dana is a friend of mine. She lives here in the Atlanta area now. I've known her for many years. But Mythic was just a really fucking killer, brutal, heavy, death metal band in the 90s. They got overlooked. They didn't do a whole lot. They didn't really get much of a following until after they, had done their little bit of stuff. But this is a nice, book edition thing of their entire discography. And it's fantastic. Love this stuff. Love Mythic. That was their one big release, Mourning in the Winter Solstice, which it was a 7-inch, I believe. And then I did some demos, rehearsal. Don't believe they ever did an album. Cool collages there. So, one of my very good friends, former bandmate, Wayne Sarantopoulos. Wayne was in Decrepitaph. He was in Father Befouled with me for many years and Colfination for many years. His current band, Condrith, is a fucking killer death metal band. They live in California now. When I first met Wayne, he wore a Mythic t-shirt all the time. And at the time, I had never heard of them. Like I said, it was super underground shit. And he worshipped this shit. And it's so funny. We, Father Befouled, we played a show in Brooklyn 13 or 14 years ago. And we're there at the show, and Dana here walked in. And he was literally like some fucking fanned out, holy shit, that's Dana from Mythic. And so he met her. And then shortly after that, she moved to Atlanta, and I've been friends with her ever since. Shout out, Dana. Love you. Love Mythic. Okay. We got a couple more. Mysterious. It's Mystery IIS. Something in another language. I think this is Chad from Hour 13, one of his projects. It is not listed anywhere online. Me and Chad used to trade shit. And Chad is notorious for doing a new project of some sort all the time. And this is one of his many black metal type projects. Even though this is all black ambient. It is all just synth and soundscape stuff. It's really good. It's good background music when you're doing shit. Very grim and melancholy. And this is limited to 50. I have number 10. So just fucking grim, ultra rare, cult black metal shit. Okay. Mysticum. Demons Never Sleep. Mysticum, famous kind of industrial tinge black metal band. This is their demos. I fucking love Mysticum. All of their stuff. And this, I believe, is some demo material. Does it say inside? Nope. Just join us in our quest for Planet Satan. Never Stop the Madness. This is a bootleg. I don't know where I got it. In a trade somewhere. And I never listened to Mysticum until I got this. Fucking love them. I've gone back and I bought their stuff. I have their albums, their 2 albums on vinyl. In the Streams of Inferno and Planet Satan. Fucking love Mysticum. Last one. MZ412. Burning the Temple of God. This is a famous kind of black noise electronic black metal thing. This goes between like harsh noise wall, power electronics, and into like black metal surges. This is a Digipack version that came out a few years ago on Cold Spring. But this famously, the early release was a Burning Church. So you might recognize the Burning Church version. Killer, just if you want some really unhinged, like uncomfortable black metal noise music stuff, MZ412 Burning the Temple of God. This was gifted to me. So if you're death metal fans out there, if you're familiar with Rotted Life Records, the guy who runs Rotted Life, Jason, me and him have been friends for many years. Jason used to operate the power electronics label Malignant Records, which is a very famous in that scene. And I ordered some stuff. This is how me and Jason met. I ordered some stuff, and I placed my order, and he sent me a message. He said, "Hey, I love Father Befouled. I love your shit. Let me send you some extra shit." And I told him, I said, "I'm just getting into power electronics and noise and stuff." And he sent me this huge fucking care package of this stuff, and this was in there. And I probably wouldn't have checked it out otherwise. But I love this. For that style of power electronics and black metal, MZ412. They have a huge discography. I mean, this is 30 years old, so they've been going forever. I don't know a lot about them, but I know that I love this. I listened to this just the other day. So that's it. That's all of the M's. We'll start with the N's on the next video. Please check out Not of This World. If you like horror shit, I'd love for you to check us out and support. And let's talk about these albums, and I'll be back with some more soon.